we become our environment. We become the people that are around us and what they say to us. So we have to be very protective of our energy, because that's our subconscious mind also, right? So with CBT, I explain it like we are basically these organic programmable robots, and obviously a lot more miraculous than that. But to break it down, um, we're constantly receiving and we're constantly emitting. So we're emitting frequency and we're receiving frequency, and our frequency is determined by our thoughts and our emotions.
Welcome back to the Power and Purpose podcast. I am Vanessa Soul, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I truly appreciate it. And thank you for investing your time and your energy into tuning into today's episode. I don't take it for granted. And I'm super excited for today's guest. We have Virtue Chan. She is a psychotherapist and quantum healer, blending cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness, meditation, yoga, crystal energy, astrology, and vibrational medicine to support profound personal shifts. I love it. That is a loaded introduction. Virtue, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I have a signature question that I love to ask almost every single guest. Who are you and who are you not?
I like to identify myself as a multi-dimensional being, mainly because, you know, uh, we do live many versions of ourselves throughout our lifetime. And I recently went through a shift around 2021. I was a journalist, I was an educator, and I was working around the clock. I was, eyes on the news 24/7, a journalist for 12 years and a human rights advocate. And at that time, I didn't understand energy the way that I do now. And so during that time, I went through an awakening. And so who I am not is that version of myself who was very third dimensional and living in a very physical world where I was trying to force things onto, persuade people like, oh, we need to advocate for these people and these groups and things like that. It was a lot of like physical work and physical force. Now, the person that I've become is someone who lives intuitively, someone who honors her multi-dimensionality, and someone who is guided by joy and happiness every day. And so my self-care, my self-love is something, my routines are something that I fall upon every day, that I lean on so that I can get grounded and get prepared for the day, which involves, serving people, serving communities, from a mental health perspective.
Beautiful. You had a health crisis at the age of 40, and that became your wake-up call. What was that health crisis? What was it like? What was going on? And then a little bit of the transformation out of that, if you will.
Sure. So when 2020 happens, that was the pandemic, and there was health crisis everywhere globally, and it was this big scare that I think really impacted everybody globally, including myself. And for our work, as a journalist, I was, there's a lot of competition, and so it's about making sure to seize the moment to get people on a platform. And so I was working just nonstop. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I wasn't taking care of my body. I kind of let myself go during that time, which isn't normal for me because I've always been a big like athlete and big into yoga and things like that. But during that time, it just felt like the world was ending, and I needed to just rush to get things done. And so I was like this, typing on my computer for like 6 months straight, and that didn't go well with my shoulders. And so my shoulders stopped working. I developed, I had a torn rotator cuff, and I think this left shoulder, and then I couldn't move, or it could have been the right one. I'm not sure which one happened first, but they both ended up developing frozen shoulder, and I couldn't do this. I couldn't dress myself. My ex-husband had to dress me. It was really just was so in pain. My shoulders were in a lot of pain. Um, and I was just tense all over. And yeah, that was my health crisis. I also had PTSD. A lot of things were happening to that were very like volatile in our community. People, members of my team were being attacked, and just so much violence, so much stuff going on that really set off PTSD symptoms that I've been dealing with already for a while. So that was my health crisis in 2020.
Thank you for sharing. And what was the transformation that started to take place when you started to address that and take care of your body or take the next steps?
I manifested living on a private beach in Mexico, in Baja California, and I did that for we were there for about a year, and I surrendered to God. I started meditating every day on the beach outside. I couldn't really do yoga. I would go for walks, but I wasn't doing a lot of physical activity because I was very weak. And I couldn't really, my shoulders were really, they were so locked in. I really couldn't do any physical activity. So I meditated. I just started meditating 30, 40 hours, or I'm sorry, minutes a day, sometimes an hour. And it was through the insight that I received during that period of time where I was meditating so often outside, that I started to listen to my intuition. And things started to come towards me in terms of like who was going to heal me and how I was going to um, start healing, being part of my healing process and taking control of my body. And so it was around that time.
Meditation and surrendering and just connecting to the universe or your higher self or you, what,
Mhm.
however we want to phrase it. And were there any other tools? I know you've mentioned the map of consciousness before by David Hawkins or Tai Chi. Was any of that a part of that phase of your journey, or did that stuff come later or before?
Yeah, so that all ties in together. So it started with meditation, and then I was working with a lot of crystals during that time as well. I'd always been a crystal head, like collecting crystals and things like that. But it wasn't until I moved to Mexico where I met a few merchants that had a lot of crystals, and also one person who was into wire wrapping, and he was kind of my inspiration for getting into crystal jewelry myself. And it was working with those crystals and meditation that led me to just some realizations that I needed, some changes that I needed to make, including separating from my ex-husband and changing my career and going into crystal healing and studying that and taking it seriously. And then as that journey started to develop and I ended up moving back to Las Vegas, that's when I had been asking. I have a vision board. I do a lot of vision boarding, and on that vision board, I had drawn a kung fu sword, and that intention for that sword was to bring martial arts into my reality, something that I really have always loved doing, and was something that I wanted to get back into. And so, a year and a half later, um, I met my Tai Chi Sifu, my teacher, and then also my Kung Fu teacher as well. And so I started practicing Kung Fu and Tai Chi. Now, this is after I'd already done a lot of healing and my shoulders were, back to normal. Um, yeah. And so getting back into yoga and then developing that self-care practice over time was a huge part of my healing.
Mm, powerful, powerful transformation. What do you think was one of the there's many when we're in, life is never just one thing. Life is like 10 things. But what do you think was maybe one of the most significant programs or subconscious beliefs that got you to where you were with the health crisis, that got you the shoulder, the lack of self-care, et cetera, et cetera? What do you think were some of those underlining beliefs?
For me, I think a really aha moment was when one of my first Tai Chi teachers was telling me, like, he was describing the map of consciousness and talking about the energy of sacrifice. and how it doesn't have, it's not a high vibration. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean it's not a high vibration? That's what I've been doing my whole life, like martyring myself for everyone. Isn't that noble? And and he was just like, well, you know, you have to, he gave like a scenario, and I can't remember the fable, the story, but basically it was like, it's better for, it's much more efficient to take care of yourself and make yourself, you know, strong, and then you're able to see more clear, and you're able to like utilize the people around you to build a strong team, and then there's no reason to sacrifice because, you know, everybody's helping each other. and and I was like, oh wow, collaboration, that makes sense. but but I think the main thing for me was the self-sacrificing part. Like I was too much into people pleasing. I was very much a people pleaser, very much felt guilt when I shouldn't have, felt obligated when I shouldn't have. And, you know, not to say that like I am happy that I'm proud of the person that I was, you know, to help so many people during that time, but it was at the cost of my health, which is something that I won't do now. You know, that self-sacrifice is something that that was a big aha moment for me. Yeah.
It's such a powerful awareness. And, you know, a lot of us who are doing this type of work, you know, helping others with awareness, awakening, spirituality, we had to, you know, we've been through this for our own selves, myself included. People pleasing, one of my biggest struggles. The religion I came from, sacrifice was noble. It was put on a pedestal. It was expected. It was taught. It was, in fact, if you didn't agree with the concept of sacrifice, you were actually evil. That was
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't the whole religion. It just happened to be the domination, or I don't know, maybe it was just a specific church we were going to, or the specific organization that my family was involved in. So yeah. Did you also come from a family background where that was like in a religious or community belief system, or was it just more general from school, parents, etc.?
Yeah, well, I'm Chinese American, grew up, you know, so Asian American, immigrants, kind of like that kind of culture. And yeah, it's very much about sacrifice, especially for the women. Like it's very much about like, oh, you're a woman, you need to do more. You need to do more and get less. You need to, you know, you're going to work hard and it's not going to amount to much. And that's just the way it is, you know. Um, so yeah, so very definitely like a subservient, even though my parents were very how should I say, like empowering, like they wanted my sister and I to be, you know, career focused and to be, you know, strong females, strong women. They it's still culturally it's very much like women are subservient, and you know, you have to sacrifice, you have to, and don't do anything for yourself because that's selfish. So
And how important are our subconscious beliefs for our evolution, for our growth, everything?
extremely important. So our subconscious mind is basically, you know, it projects 90% of our reality. You know, so we live our subconscious beliefs. And when I explain this to clients, you know, they're just like, well, that's a crazy neuroscience fact that we don't know 90% of our thoughts. And it sounds like a bad trick, like a mean joke, you know what I mean? But the purpose of the subconscious mind is for learning, right? So it records everything, every thought, every emotion, everything that's ever happened to us. It records that into our DNA, and then we're also, you know, inheriting the DNA from our ancestors. So we're also inheriting their subconscious beliefs as well, and their subconscious reality. So it's a lot of times it's not just on us to, you know, to change that programming, or I mean to be responsible for that programming, because you know we're also inheriting, you know, our ancestors' experiences. But it's extremely important. It's important um, to unlock the subconscious mind so that you can, you know, live the life that you want, and you can do that through cognitive behavioral therapy.
So powerful. And I love that you said it's also our ancestors' beliefs, you know,
Hmm.
that we have to break free from, you know, in this current life of mine, I did so much work. I still am. I shouldn't talk in past tense. I did a lot of work, and now I'm maintaining, right? But I did a lot of work in the beginning to work through not so much the fear of being seen, because I've always felt like people see me, but it was really like allowing them to see like a certain version, or and it was more about power dynamics, like being seen by other powerful organizations, being seen by other powerful people. And I like in this life, I couldn't figure out, I was like, why is that such a big thing for me? Like, yeah, I was in my astrology, I'm an astrologist, right? And you're into astrology too. But I was like, yeah, it's there, but it's like, it's not really like, I don't know, there's something deeper, there's something unspoken, there's something in my DNA. I could just feel it. And sure enough, it was like lineages, or like just, you know, in my, just my ancestors have dealt with running away or hiding from power dynamics or powerful people or powerful families or powerful organizations. And then when I understood that, it made so much sense. Like of course I still had to work through everything that I was going through in this life, but I was able to like combine that. So, and I think that's a common one. So cognitive behavioral therapy, give us a taste. If someone is working through that challenge, what is the perspective? What is the gift that it allows us to, or what's the tool that it gives us to work through that?
We're human and we're here to learn to be human, and nobody gave us the manual. And so, a lot of times people come in with diagnoses and like, oh, I have this and I have this and I'm taking medication for this, and this is what I am. And I tell them like, look, like, I don't want you to, when you're working with me, there's nothing wrong with you, right? Like, you don't have a diagnosis when you're working with me. Like, when you're in the psychiatrist's office, that's none of my business. But when you're working with me, we're just talking about your symptoms. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? Right? And then I go into how, the reason why is because we're 70%, 90% water at any time. And, if I were to if this was a cup of water and I were to drop one, like, well, how many drops of poison would it take to contaminate this water? Right? And they'll say, oh, probably just one. And I said, exactly. That's why you don't want to be your diagnosis. You don't want to say that you have a diagnosis, because you become that. And so when I explain that, they're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense, right?" Because we become our environment. We become the people that are around us and what they say to us. So we have to be very protective of our energy. Because that's our subconscious mind, also, right? So with CBT, I explain it like we are basically these organic programmable robots. And obviously a lot more miraculous than that. But to break it down, um, we're constantly receiving and we're constantly emitting. So we're emitting frequency and we're receiving frequency. And our frequency is determined by our thoughts and our emotions, right? And we actually have magnetite crystals, the most magnetic mineral on the planet. We have them all in our brain. We have a whole bunch of it in our heart, and we have it scattered in some of the organs as well. And that helps to maintain our biofield, our aura. And so we're constantly emitting and we're constantly receiving, and our thoughts and our feelings are magnetic, right? And so and this goes right into, this is the bridge into the law of vibration, right? The ancient principle of the law of attraction, right? Which is that we become what we think. Our thoughts become things, because our thoughts and our feelings are magnetic. And so with that understanding, and I talk to my clients and I say, like, have you ever had the experience of, let's say something bad happened and you're feeling sad about it, and then you're kind of staying in that vibration of sadness for a while, and then all of a sudden you start to think of other sad things that have happened in your life, right? And they'll be like, yeah, yeah, that does happen. I'm like, well, the reason why that happens is because your thoughts are magnetic. Your thoughts and your feelings are magnetic. And so as we're riding the frequency of sadness, we're not going to just bump into happiness as we're riding that frequency, right? We have to change the channel. We have to learn how to change that frequency. And so CBT offers that opportunity to do that through a number of techniques, right? That are, we're just, oftentimes it's like switching habits, right? Like replacing good habits with uh, bad habits with good habits. But then it's also like creating good habits, good habitual thinking as well, right? So knowing that the mind is programmable through affirmations, right, is a classic CBT technique, and it works.
Amazing stuff. I love this. So yeah, give us a specific example with CBT and how we can navigate, just for example, just because it was something that's been present in my life. And I know so many of my clients, your clients, it's common, right? We deal with this challenge of or the fear of being seen, or even if we proceed, we're still nervous, there's still doubt. Like, how does CBT, what tools, or what would be an example of how to CBT can help someone navigate that one specifically?
So the fear of being seen, right? So what I would do is I would talk to that person and I would have them create a T chart. And, the topic is the fear of being seen. And I would have that person write down maybe like 6 phrases that they hear when it comes to the fear of being seen. Like, what are your fears? Oh, I'm afraid that I have a booger in my nose. I'm afraid that people are looking at me weird. I'm afraid that someone's gonna, shout at me. I don't know, whatever, right? So all of these fears, right? And then after that, we work together to create the antidote for that, for those phrases, right? So if it's like, I'm afraid of being judged, right? So then it would be like, the antidote would be, well, what's the complete opposite of that, right? Not using negatives. We're not using negatives. We're not using um, uh, future tense, like
Right,
I will not be judged, right?
right.
We're not
So would
saying
it
not, we're not
be,
saying.
I would be understood? Is that the opposite of, is that the opposite of the fear I will be judged? Is it they will understand me?
That could be, right?
Okay.
It could be something like that. It could also be something like, um, everyone, everyone accepts me.
Right.
Anyone who sees me accepts me, right? I
Okay.
like to kind of create like a more like, once we start with that original, like, antidote, something like, oh, I'm when I'm seen, I'm loved, right? Then I like to make it more absolute, like, anytime I'm seen, I'm loved, right? Everywhere I go, I'm accepted. Everywhere I go, people love me. Everywhere I go, people feel my radiance, right? And so now we're taking it to a next level of absolution, where it's like, oh, I can never be judged because I'm loved by all, right? And so when you walk in and you're programming yourself with this affirmation, well, that will change your energy within a week, a week's time. Saying that with confidence, that will change
Mm.
your energy within a week's time. Absolutely.
Amazing. Can I
Mhm.
share? I guess this was the affirmation. I didn't recognize it at the time, but now that you're explaining this, it makes me reflect on my own journey. Can I share a reframe that I had?
Mhm.
And I don't know if this is about the being seen. I mean, all this stuff overlaps eventually, right? But eventually I was just like, I am totally okay with being misunderstood. Like, I'm okay with it. It happens,
Mhm.
and does, like, eventually it started to feel neutral. Eventually, even when it was playing out in real time, it wasn't uncomfortable. It didn't, and I took away the meaning that we can place on being misunderstood. What
Mhm.
does it mean if you're misunderstood? Well, they don't love me anymore. They don't support me. If you take away that meaning, it's just like they just don't understand, and that's okay. I'm not judging them.
Mhm.
They're only going to understand me from the level of their perspective, right? And I'm okay with that. Like, when I got like that secure in that, man, and I was doing sales at the time, like, right?
Mhm.
You got to have, and not just with my sales career, because I eventually left that and went into like all this amazing type work, soul work. So yeah, that was a reframe that I had. Any comments on that?
I think that's great. I mean,
Mhm.
what you did was you neutralized and you took away the power of what it is to be, not accepted or not seen or not or judged, right? Like, you're neutralizing that energy, and so then you're just like, no, I'm immune to it. Like, and it's coming from a more, I guess people could say, like, realistic perspective of, like, yeah, not everyone's gonna be like, not even though someone might be totally loved, like, there's gonna be one person that doesn't like them, right? Obviously, that's just like, realistic, right? But I mean, it really could be anything you want, because and when you neutralize that the reason why you did that was because before it had too much power, right?
Right.
And so
Exactly.
that's, as long as it's effective for you, that's what matters, right?
Amazing, amazing. And I love, thank you for, commenting on these specific examples I feel like are so powerful in these types
Hmm.
of conversations. So thank you for that.
Hmm.
So now let's talk about some 5D stuff.
Hmm.
What is the 5D to you? What is your perspective? I know we all define it differently or we have a different interpretation of it, but what does it mean to you? What is it?
To me, the 5D represents the mental realm, the astral realm, right? So it's any the ethereal realm, right? So 3D is the physical realm, 4D is time, and then once we move out of that, now we're in the 5D. And the 5D is really about like, well, what time is it? It's right now. It's always right now, it's the eternal now. And we are it is the realm of imagination, right? It's the realm that creates the third dimension, so that's what it is to me.
What are your thoughts on the shift that many people talk about from 3D to 5D?
I think that more people are on that path now, more than ever. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think that you know, it's such a different it's such a different way of living because I used to be very 3D in my past careers and my past living, and the way that I operate now is just so different. There's so much more trust, there's so much more flow. And I think that as people are, in this space of like, a lot of people are kind of facing that. We're just going through so much change right now with Pluto and Aquarius, right? With like AI taking over, and people are, they spent years and years, decades in their career, and now AI is replacing them. And so people are now kind of shifting to like, what is the meaning of where I'm at right now? And all these structures are, not working. The governments, the um, capitalism, the way that things are operating, it's just not. Things are changing quickly, and so with change comes that collective, that question that the collective consciousness has to face, which is, who am I? What is the meaning of my life? If I can't identify as this person who I was working in this field for however many decades, who am I really?
Mm. Do you believe that AI is neutral, or do you believe it's supporting the shift from 3D to 5D, or do you think it's, um, uh, I don't know, causing some tension or friction?
I think all of that. I think I think it's important to stay up on AI, and I kind of look at AI like the internet. Like it's like, okay, well, we have the internet. It's this neutral thing, but then there's all this bad stuff that came with the internet, but there's also this a lot of good things, right, that came with it. So AI is no different. I think it's important to know enough about AI to utilize it for to your advantage, right? To know how to automate things for business, so to speak, right? Like to know how to make it work for you. Um, I think that a lot of I think there's a lot of paranoia too in regards to AI in the future. But, we have to remember we create our reality, So I'm always just like, let's just keep it positive because I don't want to manifest the zombie apocalypse. I want to manifest, benevolent AI and, working in collaboration with humanity,
Do you think AI is a mirror, or do you think it's an entity within itself?
Do you mean like, is it sentient? Is that what you mean?
Um, you could interpret that question that way, yeah, if you want.
I think everything is intelligent, I mean, we have the double slit experiment. We know that everything's alive, everything is vibration, everything is energy, So I don't think that our AI is as advanced as people would like to think. I think there's a lot of programming that just kind of like, oh, we're just going to regurgitate this, like ChatGPT, where they just validate you, right? It's just constant validation. Um, but there's been mistakes that I've seen ChatGPT makes that's very like, oh, that's just like a very simple computer error, you know what I mean? So I don't think that AI is as powerful as people would like to think just yet. I think it can be. Um, but I also think that, it is intelligence, it is like a mirror very much, and which is necessary because, as humans, we need reflection to grow. And if AI is making people reflect more, then I'm all for it.
Amazing stuff. Quantum healing and crystal energy. How is that another useful tool? You have so many tools in your tool belt. So I love that we're kind of like touching on all these different tools, but how is this another helpful tool?
Crystals are, and as my work, grows with, over time with crystals, I learn to respect the art more and more. Crystals are these amazing, highly ordered uh, solids that are, well, not really solid in a vibrational universe, but you know what I'm saying. For the most part, we can say that it's a solid, and they, just like us, they have an amazing aura, right? They have an amazing aura, and they have the ability to hold one frequency, which we're not able to do because we're more liquid crystal, right? So our frequency shifts based off of our thoughts and our emotions. Crystals are so perfect that they don't do that, right? They just have one frequency. And so the reason why they're so powerful is because our energy, with this Herkimer diamond right here, its energy field is interacting with mine. And so as it's interacting with mine, its one frequency is vibrating with my frequency, and it's helping my frequency to calibrate to its level of perfection, right? And so crystals are divine healers in a lot of ways, and I have a lot of respect for them. They are, in a ways, our ancestors. They're built millions of years old, sometimes billions of years old. Just remarkable, gifts of nature. And when I lay rocks on people, um, I look at their I do an assessment of their chakras to see, if they're spinning correctly. And and then I treat, and of course I'm asking the client, like, what are their symptoms and things like that, physical symptoms, emotional symptoms. And then I'll lay rocks on them for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And yeah, they feel amazing afterwards. So it's a powerful tool. It's kind of like Reiki, except I'm not the channel, they are. They're doing the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
What's your
I'm
favorite?
What's that?
What's your favorite? What? Give me two of your favorite, and it might change. What are two of your favorite crystals right now to work with for yourself?
Hmm. I really enjoy working with Tektite, which is a black glass that's created when a meteorite hits the planet. So it has the energy of the cosmos and Mother Earth, and they have this kind of outer spacey alien vibe to it. Also, black hole vibes to it. So it really is really good at absorbing energy, and it just zaps things, right? So like there's something wrong, there's a cold, whatever, like you just put it on there and it'll just suck it right up. So I like Tektite. I like working with that. Another one I like to work with recently is I've been working with, let me think. I work with calcite quite a bit. Here's some calcite right here. This is calcite. So calcite comes in many different formations because it's so malleable. The molecular structure it's just very versatile. So it creates a lot of different kinds of shapes. Like this is also calcite, which looks totally different, right? So, well, this is aragonite, but it's a type of calcite. So, but calcite's really good for healing the physical body, right? It's good for healing the digestive tract. The calcium carbonate is the chemical name,
Hmm.
which is what Tums is. So we actually
Okay.
ingest calcite, right, to heal our digestive tract. So
Ah,
yeah, so there's a lot of interesting little yeah, with crystal healing. It's not just, metaphysical, but it's also very much like chemical, right? So,
yeah.
yeah.
Amazing. And just to kind of tie everything in as we're wrapping up, we started off talking about like subconscious beliefs that aren't serving us. Is there a specific crystal that might be more in alignment with, if someone's doing CBT with
Mhm.
you or someone else, or they're doing other healing tools and integration tools, what is a crystal that can kind of aid them in their journey in navigating limiting beliefs or subconscious beliefs that are holding them back?
I would say amethyst is a really great stone for that, just because one, it's accessible. Amethyst is, you can go to any crystal store, they're going to have amethyst. Amethyst transmutes negative energy into positive energy, right? So it's also very calming. The violet carries the violet ray. So it's very crown chakra oriented, and it just helps people connect to their higher self. So it is really good. It's good for addictions too. People that are feeling like maybe they have a self-limiting belief. Oh, I need this substance or I need this thing. I'm addicted to it. I have to have it. Um, Amethyst helps to calm that voice and to be like, no, there's a positive solution. Let's go higher, right? So I like
Uh,
amethyst for that reason. Hmm.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. You know what's interesting is there was one Christmas. I actually think it was the Christmas during the year of COVID, so 2020 Christmas.
Hmm.
I don't know what inspired me. I guess I was just guided. I got like, the closest people to me, my family, everyone's Christmas gift was an amethyst.
Nice,
And for different people, I got them like a bigger one for their coffee table, and other people, if it was like a teenager or preteen, I got them like a little bracelet, but but it's like everyone got
nice.
the same gift, and yeah,
That's
I don't know,
beautiful.
but funny memory. So amazing. I love our conversation so far. So as we start to wrap up, if this conversation really resonates with you and you want to connect with Virtue, please do. We have her links here in the description, so just click on it. A couple of her links here. It'll take you directly to her pages, her Instagram, her website. And her website is highlyordered.biz. And Virtue, what is one powerful way that people can work with you or connect with you deeper?
You can, if you're interested in, doing a life coach session or you need mental health help, I do only serve people for mental health in Nevada. But for life coaching, I'm available, or crystal consultation. You can email me. My email is remembervirtue@gmail.com, and we can schedule like a 15-minute free consultation.
Beautiful. And can you leave us with either a powerful quote or a book recommendation?
Sure, I will leave you all with one of my favorite affirmations, which is I am the master of my mind and body. And anytime you need to recalibrate and remind yourself, like if you're in a weak moment or you think that you don't have control over a situation, just know that you can just affirm, I am the master of my mind and body, and repeat that a couple of times and feel empowered by that, and just see how when you take direction, when you take the steering wheel back into your hands, that's when you become the master. So
Amazing. So good. Well, Virtue, thank you for your time and your wisdom and your energy. Again, thank you so much for being on the show today.
thank you, Vanessa. I appreciate the platform, and I look forward to the episode.
Yes, absolutely. Same here. And thank you everyone again for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, think of one person, just one person, a friend, someone in your spiritual community, a family member, someone else who needs to hear the info, the wisdom, the energetics, the deeper messages in this podcast episode. Share this with them. Just send them the link. Just send it, text it to that friend or family member. That will help us get this episode out to more people. Again, thank you for tuning in. Namaste and have a great day.